Good morning. I'm starting to collect more stuff over there on that little mini altar area. Good morning. Nothing in the diffuser today because I woke up a little. Well, I actually have woken up 3 or 4 times, but I've just now got myself over here. Hi Kim and Michelle and Mom and whoever came in first I didn't catch. I saw 3. I saw 4, but wasn't able to read it. Good morning. Having tea this morning. It's a backup system for coffee. Hey Catherine. Hi Kim. Hey, you guys should be getting your, if you're in level 2 Desire Map, your packages should come today. Not the mall, that's separate, and that might not get there till Wednesday or possibly Thursday. I don't know how she mailed it. Hey, Sarah. I liked your post this morning about the election. We're going to sandblast stars and crosses off of soldiers' tombstones. Ridiculous. Oh, they haven't been mailed? Okay, well then you definitely won't get them. No hearts? Okay. You just put your contacts in. Well, I hope everyone's feeling a little better today after our string of grumpy days. I started feeling better yesterday. Oh, that's weird. Roseanne's been heart blocked. That sucks. Yeah, you're right. I don't see your color. Oh, that's so weird. Maybe you have to uninstall and reinstall your application. What a pain. Yeah, better than an actual blocked heart. Okay. So it is... You've passed your quota, Roseanne. There's a hidden quota that we didn't know about. What is it? Almost March? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So we have a lot more time with the political mess. So, yeah. Probably time for extended Facebook breaks. That's how I usually handle that. Let's get into our Tao Te Ching book. Thanks for the hearts and the shares, those of you that can give them, for Roseanne. More chances to choose love. Lots of chances for practicing what we preach. Of all the years to start a heavy-duty daily practice, a political year is an interesting one. Honestly, Trump's starting to look better than Cruz. I mean, really, if we had to pick a Republican, I never thought I would say that, but the more Cruz talks, he's just as scary. They're all scary. I don't want to pick any of them. Cruz is pretty terrifying. Give me some hearts. If you're going to sit over there and spy. Okay, let's see. We need the practice to get through. He's sitting at the dining room table. We need the practice to survive this political nonsense. So, last time we read Nature, Nurture. This time we're reading Back to the Beginning. Maybe that's good for today. I know a lot of people didn't feel too good, and some people got off traffic. My mom's saying hi to you.
Oh, I shut it off.
Oh, he turned it off already. She said good morning.
How's it going, Lynn?
Did you hear that? How's it going, Lynn? Back to the beginning. We can cycle back when we have downtimes and we go to bed for a few days, or we get grumpy for a few days, or whatever it is that we do. Sometimes we can let our practice slide. I showed up for my meditation every day, but there were about 3 days in a row when I was really just half-assing it. like I was there, but I wasn't fully present. But the important thing for me is to keep showing up, because if I ever stop even trying to do it, then I can let it go for, and I can drop it for months, even years, on a 3-day downswing. So I have to physically show up, even if I'm just barely getting through. I still have to show up. I know myself enough to know that I'll drop the whole thing given half a chance. So anyway, back to the beginning. The beginning of everything is the mother of everything. Truly, to know the mother is to know her children, and truly, to know the children is to turn back to the mother. The body comes to its ending, but there is nothing to fear. Close the openings, shut the doors, and to the end of life, nothing will trouble you. Open the openings, be busy with busyness, and to the end of life, nothing can help you. Insight sees the insignificant. Strength knows how to yield. Use the way's light, return to its insight, and so keep from going too far. That's how to practice what's forever. That's perfect. Her notes at the bottom say, this chapter on the themes of return and centering makes circles within itself and throughout the book, returning to phrases from other poems, turning them round the center, a center which is everywhere, a circle whose circumference is infinite. I like this one a lot. I like that insight sees the insignificant. When you're meditating every day, or you're tuned into yourself every day, you see what matters and what doesn't. You can let what doesn't go. You don't even attach to it. You may have a flash of a momentary reaction to it, and it's gone. My mini rant about the politicians the other day was literally about 10 minutes of aggravation, and then it was gone. You laugh more. You see the insignificant and you just laugh more, because it's like, oh, silly humans, us silly peoples. Hey, Erin, thanks for sharing all your vacation photos. My goodness, those are beautiful. Erin was in California this weekend. Strength knows how to yield. If you have courage and you're strong, you don't fight every little battle that crosses your path. You choose when and where to take action, and you choose how to take action. Hey, you choose you pick your battles, let's say it that way. You don't get upset about every little thing that you hear. You know when to yield, and you know when it's in interaction with other people. Good morning, Julia. You know when to just flow like water or harden up like brick. You know the difference when you're in tune with yourself. So using the way's light, the Tao, the light of the way, the big W way, returning to its insight, and so you keep from going too far one way or the other. You don't lose your balance. You don't go too far back. You don't go too far forward. You stay centered in that center of calm. So that's what Ursula Le Guin's translation says about that. So let's look at Stephen Mitchell's translation. I'm going to be sad when these books run out. That's going too far forward. Okay. His translation of 52 is, in the beginning was the Tao, all things issue from it, all things return to it. To find the origin, trace back the manifestations. When you recognize the children and find the mother, you will be free of sorrow. If you close your mind in judgment and traffic with desires, your heart will be troubled. If you keep your mind from judging and aren't led by the senses, your heart will find peace. Seeing into darkness is clarity. Knowing how to yield is strength. Hey, Linda. Use your own light and return to the source of light. This is called Practicing Eternity. So I like Ursula Le Guin's translation better today. It seems like some days one of them hits it better, and I think hers was nicer. But what he's talking about is when you want to know where you're at in life, look around. Look at the state of your relationships. Look at the state of your work. Look at the space that you're living in. Is it, scattered everywhere? Whatever's going on in your head is also going on in your environment. And you can use your environment as a mirror to let you know where you're at. Oh, I think I missed Cynthia coming in. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Angela. When you're going to make some changes or when you're wanting to grow, it's really helpful to look around and get a baseline for where you're at right now. You can look back at old journals and see if you're still writing about the same things, and then try writing something different. You can ask, if you have people that you trust in your environment, you can ask them for feedback. Like, I feel like these areas of my life are not working. Can you offer me any insight? And it takes some guts to do that, because sometimes you might not want to hear what they have to say. But you can also just look at your desk. What's your desk look like? What does your living space look like? What's the last 5 or 6 conversations you had? What were those about? And you'll know where your focus is. And you can trace that back to the origin of your own thoughts and your own perceptions. And that is the place where you can make changes. And I'm Michelle Wolf, and you can find me at CathyShackDesigns.com. I suppose getting this in at least once a broadcast is pretty good. Across the top are tabs. Everything you need to know is right there on the website. So let's see what Byron Katie has to add to this. Does that make sense to you? We can't see inside ourselves. We trick ourselves and we tell ourselves that everything is worse than it is. Or we can tell ourselves that everything's much better than it actually is. Thanks, Tanya. So getting information from outside is going to give you greater clarity over what's really going on. Okay, 52. In the beginning was the Tao. All things issue from it. All things return to it. People are fascinated with the origin of things. When did the universe begin, they ask. Where do I come from? Oh, Angela, I'll have to go watch your replay. I saw it up there, but then I didn't have time to watch it first. The answers to questions like these are obvious once you get a little clarity. Speaking of, when did the universe begin? Right now. A clear mind sees that any past is just a thought. There's no proof for the validity of any thought other than another thought, and even that thought is gone, and then that thought is gone is also gone. There's only now, and even now is the thought of a past. Actually, the universe has no beginning and no end. It's constantly beginning and it's always over. Where do I come from? From this thought. Oops, now I'm gone. There's nothing mystical about this. If it seems hard to grasp, that's because it is so simple and clear that a complicated mind can't see it. What people call mystical experiences may be very clear too, and a kind of grace for a while, but they amount to nothing in the end. They're not experiences to invite or to reject, they're just movements of the mind. You can have the most marvelous revelations. You can be shown all of physical creation from the beginning of time to the end of time, how the universe starts with nothing, goes out to everything, and arcs back in on itself, and keeps going. I'm going to compress that. You can see the origin of the universe and the ultimate meaning of life, and it will mean nothing because ultimately everything in the universe is nothing imagined as something, and you exist prior to anything you think you are. That's a very long paragraph way of saying it doesn't matter. Where you came from doesn't matter. Where you're going doesn't matter. All that matters is right here, right now. It's too long to... Whatevs. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't. All the things that we get head up about and tangled and twisted about generally don't really matter. Are you spending a little time every day connecting to love or source or nature or whatever it is for you? Generally, that's enough to help everything else take care of itself. And you'll see that in your life the more that you do that. You can approach it a couple of ways. You can go through days without labeling anything, or you can pick a feeling that you like to anchor on. And that's a core desired feeling, or Esther Hicks, what does she call it? The feeling tone of the thing that you're looking for. Oh, poor Ted. Watch Ted Cruz driving himself and everyone around him insane. And reach for compassion. The thing is we have a lot more control. We tend to feel like victims in our lives, and we're not. We have all the control in the world over what we're thinking about and over what we're feeling. And all our grinding of axes in our heads has never improved anything. So if we can let that go. We can say to ourselves, I've been grinding that axe for a long time, and it's still the same. So I think I'm just going to put this down and try reaching for a feeling that makes me feel good and try to stay there more. Give it a shot. You got nothing to lose. And within 30 days of actual daily application of that, you will see things changing. It's that easy. It's really that simple. Our best thinking got us here. Which says it's not really our great thinking, is it? It's not really awesome thinking processes. Okay. We can know that we have that kind of choice because we can look around us, and not everybody is upset by the things we're upset by. Not everybody is triggered by a particular behavior. That lets you know that every person's perspective is different, and lets you know that we have a choice. There isn't anyone forcing us to continue feeling in a non-productive, ineffective way. No one's forcing us to do that. We do have to make a decision. I'm going to let this go now, and I'm going to try out some other practices and see what it does for me in my life. Make the decision first that you are done. You're done. And then go try on some other things and see how they fit. The truth is, everything comes from the I. If there's no thought, there's no world. Without the I to project itself, there is neither origin nor end. Actually, even nothing is born out of the I, because even nothing, done diddly done. You did that months ago. You did that last year, if not before. By thinking that there is nothing, you continue to create something. Okay, do you get that? Like, even trying to grasp the concept of nothing is still a concept. You can, and it's a mind-blowing experience, and you can do it without recreational drugs to trigger it, but you can step back and have a moment of absolutely no labels at all, of perceiving everything around you without a definition, and it's really cool. I don't recommend driving or trying to balance your checkbook when you're in that state. Mind is helpful at some points, but there's a time to be without mind that's truly refreshing and really energizing. Yeah, it doesn't last very long. Okay. The thoughts are what allow the I to believe that it has an identity. When you see that there's no you to be enlightened. You stop believing in yourself as an identity, and you become equal to everything. When mind has nothing to identify as, you experience everything in its beauty as yourself. And what she means by that is, we identify as a woman, and all that means. We identify as a Christian, and all that means. All the words that come with that. So when mind lets go of needing to identify as a particular thing, a social worker, a female, a wife, a mother, all the stories that come with those words go away. And you experience everything as beautiful, even Ted Cruz. I used to see my hands and fingers as amazing things. I would marvel at the light bouncing off the fingers inside and through the fingers. It was like watching molecules being born, a body being gathered, all of it radiant, and it wasn't with just my fingers, it was with everything. Everything is just as beautiful now, only I'm not so shocked. I'm used to whatever universe may appear because it's all acceptable. It's always new, but now it's more ordinary. It has taken on a maturity, a settling in. At the beginning, in 1986, I lived in a state of continuous rapture, so intoxicated with joy I felt like a walking light bulb. But there was a sense of separation in that. I could see how it frightened some people, and I could see how others put me on a pedestal. The radiance continued, but eventually its experience was to appear as ordinary. Until it was ordinary and balanced, it wasn't of much value to people. So if someone asks, it will meet them. It's mature enough just to meet them. Nothing special. So she learned how to modulate it and wait to be asked, rather than just blasting everybody in her environment with that level of energy. She learned to take it down a notch when it was appropriate and to ramp it up when it was appropriate. So you learned how to channel that energy, I guess. People gradually taught me through their example how to communicate. Early on, someone would say, "It's a nice day," and I would often feel like laughing. I might see the statement as the funniest thing I'd ever heard. "Ha, that's a good one. They think a day is possible." If someone asked what my name was, I might say, "I don't have one." They would ask, "Who are you?" And I'd say, "I don't know." They would say, "You're a woman," and I'd say, "That's not my experience." They would ask, "What do you think?" And I would say, "I don't." They wanted to teach me what I was thinking. So she had lost all thought, and people wanted to give it back to her. Like, "No, this is not right. You're supposed to be doing this way." Fortunately, she didn't accept that back. A couple of women were adamant. They wanted so badly to prove I was actually thinking that for 2 whole days they tried to convince me. They said, "You have to be thinking if you're talking." And I'd say, "Well, I'm not." "But you have to be." They said I was in denial, that I was just fooling myself. And finally I understood, and I said, "Oh, you believe that if thought arises, you did it." I could hear how they believed I was thinking, but the truth is I'm not. So what she's saying is, our thoughts are not, they just are. And they talk about this in Buddhism too. Thoughts just arise. They just do. They just do what they do. And we can tell a story with them, or we can just know that they're there. Yeah, they just arise on their own. So she was saying, "I'm not thinking," and she was correct. She isn't producing thoughts. The thoughts just are. She's not doing the thinking. She's being thought, is how she puts it. I'm not doing thinking. I'm being thought. It became more mature and more grounded. It had to understand the world of its old internal self. It had to get used to its own appearance as a personality. It had to get used to its own image and people's stories that gave it identity. Do you remember in Lord of the Rings? Do we have any Lord of the Rings fans? Anybody? Lord of the Rings? There has to be some nerds on here. I can't be the only one. Okay, in Lord of the Rings, when Gandalf falls into shadow, when he's fighting the Balrog or whatever, he, gets caught, catches the tip of his whip and pulls him into shadow, into the darkness. Yeah, Balrog, the sea, right? Maybe? I don't know. It doesn't matter. When he comes back, he was Gandalf the Grey. When he comes back in the third movie. I can't believe I can't remember the name. I'm horrified. I might lose my nerd card. Oh my gosh. The Two Towers? I don't know. Jeez. Oh, it's a G. Okay. When he comes back, he's all white. I know. I'm going to get my nerd card revoked. Return of the King. Return of the King? Return of the Ring? Whatever. The one with that really cute guy. Return of the King. Thank you. The Twin Towers. Anyway, when Gandalf comes back, he appears to them in the forest, and he's all white. And that one of them says, at some point in that movie, refers to him as Gandalf the Gray, and Gandalf, and he says, "Oh, I remember that. I was called that once." I'm not getting the total thing right. Right, he's with the one cute guy. He pauses for a second and says, "Oh yeah, I remember I was called that once," or something like that. He's new. He's Gandalf the White. He used to be Gandalf the Gray. And that's what she's talking about. He vaguely remembers being Gandalf the Gray, but he has gone through such a purification process, because he was gone for a long time in the books. When he comes back, he's a different Gandalf. He's still Gandalf, but he's Gandalf the White. So Byron Katie's talking about that process. Like, her previous 43-year identity is gone, and she's making a new identity. When people go through a near-death experience, okay, that happens too. A lot of times people come back from a near-death experience, and they change their entire life. They change their entire identity. Some will even call themselves something new. When the mind creates the identity of your name, and your color preferences and your food preferences is all in your mind. So if you lose all that, it can be scary, but it can also be cool, because you get to choose a new one. You can do that process purposely. If you have a behavior that's holding you back, you can sit down and decide, I'm going to recreate my identity now. So here's what I know about myself. My name, my date of birth, and I like pizza, and I'm going to decide that I don't like pizza anymore. And that's going to be that. And whenever I feel an urge for a pizza, I'm going to remind myself, I don't like pizza anymore. And you can change your preferences that way. It's the same way you quit smoking cigarettes. You tell yourself, I'm a non-smoker. Yeah, you can give yourself your own clean slate. You don't have to wait for a conk on the head to do it. You don't have to wait for a bottom-of-the-barrel experience to have it. You can see that some behaviors and thought processes are causing you pain. Good. Or you can see that they're not working for you. So treat yourself like your own sociological experiment, so to speak. Sit down and write everything about yourself that you know. Yeah, and see the parts that no longer serve you and replace them. This is important. You can't just take stuff away. You've got to replace it with something else. If you leave a vacuum, you'll just refill it with the old stuff because it feels too weird. So this helped me a lot to be able to function with people and make eye contact and stuff like that I had to learn as an investigator. I had to learn to be able to talk to anybody about the most intimate details of their life. And it was horribly uncomfortable. So I had to rewrite that and say, nope, eye contact's comfortable for me. When I need it, I can do it. And talking about people's sex lives I'm okay with that. When I need it, I can do it. And I just had to say that this is now a part of my identity because I have decided it's a part of my identity. When I quit smoking, I did some similar work with, and it took me a long time to quit smoking, but similar work of convincing myself that I was a non-smoker. Yep, yesterday I was a smoker. Today I'm a non-smoker. What do non-smokers do? They aren't running outside in the snow every 15 minutes to smoke a cigarette. So what do they do then? What do non-smokers take breaks? How do they take breaks from their work? Well, they get up and they go get a cup of tea, or they get up and they walk around the building and maybe chat with a friend or something. So I just started doing that instead. So that's just behavior modification. But then it becomes, over time, part of your identity. Now I would totally identify as a non-smoker. It's not quick, but it worked. Hi, Susan. Hi, Sophie. You can do that same thing with anything that's bugging you. Yes, have some positive resources first. Do some research. No, I wrote it down. I wrote it down and I carried it in my purse. I'm a non-smoker, and this is what non-smokers do. They breathe deeper. They take breaks by getting a cup of coffee or something. They take a break by, Facebook wasn't around then, but just looking like how do non-judgmental people handle their life? How do they go through life? And find somebody to ask if you need to. Or imagine, what would it be like to go through the day without labels? What would that feel like? Can I even imagine what would it be like to go through the day without labels? And just play with it. Be light with it. Be easy with it. If you get serious and hardcore about it, then it's just one more thing you're beating yourself up with. Journal prompt. Okay. So the thing with Byron Katie is her identity got blasted out almost overnight, somehow or another. And it kept trying to come back in, and she kept saying no to it, okay? She could have taken all that stuff back on, and she chose not to. The feeling of being free of all that was far more powerful than the allure. She was an alcoholic, and she was in rehab when this happened. She talks about it in the first section of, you can find it online for sure. She talks about it, she just had a moment where everything fell away. And we've had those moments, but I've definitely had those moments. Until recently, I wasn't able to maintain them for very long. Now, I can maintain it a little longer. Maybe a couple of hours. For me, the first time that happened was when I watched the movie Vanilla Sky. It's not even that great of a movie. But I went to see Vanilla Sky. It's got Tom Cruise in it. And, oh, thank you. I walked out of the theater. At the end of the movie, you find out that everything that he just experienced was in his head. It was a story that he was being shown. Like, he is aware that everything that he had just experienced was just a movie. It's not even, I don't think, a happy ending movie. It's been years since I saw it. But something snapped in my brain in the theater, and I was like, this is all a movie too, in the same way. And I'm choosing what I see, and I'm choosing how I look at people. And I was kind of messed up for about 3 hours. And then it never lasted that long again since then. But I've always had that experience to come back to. Like, oh, I can feel the way I did when I left the theater after seeing Vanilla Sky. Why that particular movie snapped it in my head, I don't know. Some people say they had that experience after seeing The Matrix. It just, different things trigger you. So I think that what happened for Byron Katie is something similar, but she chose not to come back. For me, it was really scary to be going through the grocery store and absolutely in love with every person and everything that I saw. What she describes is how I felt in the grocery store, and it was too weird for me. I couldn't maintain it. But I've spent years, all these years, trying to get back in there and stay in that space as much as possible. At least once a day to try and touch into that space. Maybe 25 minutes or so. We're wrapping up the Byron Katie thing. Oh, those darn time differences. Dang it, Cindy. Okay, So she had to learn, though, how to turn it on and turn it off to function around people and not blow their circuits. Yeah, okay. So has he maintained it, or does he do a practice to stay connected to that? I'm telling you, it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing for me. Oh, no. Okay. Every year, what I call the great scam becomes more unrecognizable. I move from the truth and say, it's a tree, it's a sky, I'm Katie. I say that for love's sake, to meet people where they are. That's the only reason she still uses words at all. Its language has become ordinary. It doesn't appear as smarter or dumber than other people. It doesn't appear as more or less. It just watches and waits. The more it chameleons and takes on sameness, the more powerful it becomes, the more trusted it is, and the more profound is the penetration. I will say or do anything that's natural. It's mature now. When people ask me my name, I'll say Katie. I'll say, it's cool this evening. Or, come look at the clouds, sweetheart. Or, don't the roses smell sweet? If you tell me it's a tree, I'll agree with you. So you let me into your heart, and then I'm there. And if you have no interest in the truth, then we can just sit together and have a wonderful time. So she let go of trying to bring people along with her. She learned to just meet them where they were and let them be who they are until they ask. When they asked, how come your life is working? Or when they asked, what is this energy coming off of you? I want some. Then she would share it with them. And she would say, it's letting go of your stories. You want to rewind that part, but it's live. Oh, right. We're going to be done soon because my breakfast is sitting here waiting for me. The most amazing gift you can give to someone else is your presence and your total acceptance of them. The best thing you can do for someone who's grieving is to just be there. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to fix. You don't have to even comfort. Your fully embodied presence by itself is naturally healing. That person will take from you whatever they need. You don't have to think about, what do they need? What should I say? How can I help? I want to make this better for them. You may want to make it better for them, but the best thing you can do is to drop that as fast as possible and just be. If you can breathe deep, oh God, it's so refreshing. So refreshing. We don't have to work so hard. Go into your office place today and practice just being. Move through the grocery. Yes, very much so. Silent dinners are great. Yeah, it's a way of burden off, right? If you're fully in your body and you're breathing deeply, the people who need you will come to you. This used to happen in my cubicle all the time. It was kind of a running joke that, and this was before I even had the label therapist. People would just come to my cubby area and hang out. Are beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing. There is a field. I'll meet you there. Yes. Forgetting his name, but there's a writer whose blog I follow who talks about being there with, not being there for. Yes. Be there with, not there for. That's wonderful. And that quote by Rumi is also wonderful. We meet people out in the field beyond right and wrong by being fully present in our own bodies and letting our own love and connectedness radiate from us. We can't help it. That's our natural state. When we're connected and we're just being, we are our natural self. And that in and of itself is comforting. For example, the yokels behind me, Yeah, that's Tonka. He's trying to get the door off because I have it locked so Ginger can be outside. Pets are comforting because they're fully there. Their presence alone, is comforting to us. They're just being their natural selves. Dogs are comforting to us because they're so present. They're so focused. And their natural, radiant self. Yeah. Yes, we can do that too. When we're not so busy thinking about how to be there for someone and to just be there. Yes, they teach us to be present. I missed my dogs so much and then I had to transfer that to the cats because every day I consciously focused on Scarlett and made myself be present. She was my meditation. Yes, dogs are great reminders of how to be present. Let them trigger you into doing that for yourself. Let them remind you that that is you too if you choose to allow it. If you choose to practice being fully present in your whole body. When I was working, I very rarely said anything or did anything for anybody when I was in that state. They just came and hung out in my cubby and would leave and feel better. And I didn't really do anything for them. Aw, does he want to walk? Charlie the black lab at Michelle's house. Aaron, if you remember the name of that person, I would love to know. And then I should add you to a group. So I'm going to wrap up. Puppies are the best. Babies keep us focused in the present because you have to pay attention to them. You can't really think about sports that take your focus completely off everything. Like mountain biking was that for me. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd like to know. Mountain biking was that for me because I had to be fully present or I would wreck. So sports or crafts or things that require your full focus help you experience this connection and total presence and total focus in being right here, right now. Probably mala making is that for you guys who do that. Do you see them? They went out so bad. That's Juna up on the shelf. Yes, thank you. Yeah, fun for me. So they really want to go outside. But haha, Ginger Rose has yard time right now. Oh, they're so funny. They really want that door open, yeah. It's a little plastic cover that's over their thing and they can't get out. Too bad, so sad if they weren't jerks. Yeah, we say that all the time. If I had opposable thumbs, I'd show you. You just wait till I evolve into my opposable thumbs. You're going to get it. Okay, I love you guys so much. Please have a wonderful day and try that out. Try choosing your identity, parts and pieces. Love you too. Love you guys so much. And then try to be fully present today. Just be you and let you be enough. What you are is already enough. Okay. See you later.